There's 6 key things that I've learned while doing my practice in the law of assumption and figuring out how to get all of this to work for me. And I wanted to share them today with you. So the first one is what works for one person may not work for me. I learned this the hard way over a few years because when I first started learning about like law of attraction, law of assumption, I scoured the internet looking for somebody to tell me exactly what they did. And I wanted to emulate exactly what they did because I thought that was the key. I thought I had to figure out the technique perfectly so that I could get this stuff to work for me. And it was like really frustrating to me because it never worked the way that I thought that it would. And really, it's because I was so focused on doing things exactly how they said. I wasn't focused on my intention. I wasn't focused on feeling like this could be an option for me or having any kind of faith in the unseen or feeling good or anything of the sort. Pardon me. Instead, my focus was only on this like perfect technique. And one of those was definitely visualization. I don't know why I struggle to say that word sometimes, but I started following Neville Goddard. And of course, he always talked about feeling it real and having visualization. Well, I struggled with that. I can't really see anything. I can barely see anything. I'm starting to now, little bits, as I have worked through and like practice on visualization, but still don't really see anything. Like, I remember the first time that my daughter told me that she could literally watch a movie in her head, and I was like, what? Like, you can actually see it? I was floored. I had no idea this was a thing. And so, not being able to visualize is not the issue at all. You can use other senses, and truly, it all comes down to your assumption. So, what you believe is true, what you put your faith in, where you put your attention in the person that you become, is what's going to manifest in your life. It's what you're going to see externally come into being for you. So, the more that you're able to just like, I guess, calmly focus on this thing, and if you use a technique to help you feel it, that's great. But it can be hearing, it can be sight, it can be smelling, it can be touching. Anything that says to you this thing has happened, you can use that with the Neville Goddard technique. It doesn't have to be visualization. You don't have to be able to see to get this stuff to work for you. And I'm proof of that because I can't see and I've had this work multiple times. The third one is learning how to become indifferent isn't suppressing your emotions. So, a lot of times, even if you read some of the teachers, they talk about keeping your mood aligned with kind of what you want. That does not mean that you have to suppress your emotions. It means that you choose the ones that you're going to dwell in. And I struggled with this because I would do the 7-day mental diet and it would end up being this like battlefield in my own mind of what I was feeling and what I was like allowing myself to continue to feel. And then I realized something that I don't actually have to believe every thought I have. And I don't have to identify with every thought that I have. And even if I identified with it yesterday, it doesn't mean I have to identify with it today. I can make a choice on what I want to do. I can decide, like, okay, I feel like that right now. Do I believe it? Maybe. Do I want to continue believing it? Probably not. So, do I need to continue believing it? Do I have to continue down this path? Is there something else that I can do? Is it aligned with the person that I want to be? Is it aligned with the beliefs that I currently hold? And then I just go on to something else. But the less that I've made it, you're not allowed to feel like that. Don't do that. Stop, stop, stop. The better things have gotten because it's not about fighting with yourself. It's about learning how to choose where you're going to place your thoughts. It's about saying, I don't want to go down this path. I don't want to relive this. I don't want to have this inner conversation. I want to do something different. And anytime that you have emotions bubbling up inside you, you can also use that as a great time for curiosity. Why is this coming up? What part of me needs to be heard right now? What part of me feels like it's not being heard? Is there an emotion underneath this emotion? Like, if I'm feeling angry, is there something really that's happening now that's making me feel that way? Am I not getting what I need in some sort of other area? And so now I'm feeling angry about it. There's so many questions that you can ask yourself so that you can get yourself out of that mind frame. And then also start to do stuff like physically moving yourself, like literally doing some jumping jacks, is also a great way to break that cycle. And so is, as difficult as this can be, looking at the bright side. So when something happens that you're ticked off about, what is something good in it? What's the silver lining? Even if it's just one. And sometimes that could be, this gave me the opportunity to ask myself some questions and dig into my own personal emotions and start to learn something more about myself, which is always a beautiful thing. The next one is meditation isn't about turning your thoughts off. So this goes into that other one. I used to try to like numb my mind and not think about anything. And guess what? My mind does not turn off. So instead, I've learned that meditation is more about choosing where my focus is. So same thing we were talking about for number 3. I can choose what I'm focusing on. I can choose where I'm dwelling. And a lot of times for meditation, I choose to focus on parts of my body. So either feeling a breath, I will start at my toes and physically feel myself relax my body. I will choose an intention that I want to focus on instead. And every time my mind starts to wander, I just bring it back to that intention. And I do that over and over. I have times that I focus on my third eye so that, and that's it. I just focus on it. And so that I can feel it. And yeah, those are kind of the things about meditation. I don't have to turn off my thoughts. I just get to choose what I want to think about instead. A great one is to focus on where you feel your breath. So I always feel my breath at the tip of my nose. It feels cool. But you can also feel it go all the way down into your lungs and then release it. And those are great ways to calm yourself and put your focus back on what you want to focus on and just like calm your mind. It's a really good way to just relax and calm. But if you struggle with that, you can also focus on external sounds. So fall into your meditation and then say, I'm going to focus on the sounds that I can hear around me. So like right now, if I'm quiet and I start to pay attention, I can hear my dog is sleeping behind me and he's snoring gently. So I can tune into focusing on his snoring. And that gives my mind something to focus on, but it also calms me and allows me to make a choice. You can listen to the outside road noise. If you're sitting outside, do you hear the birds? Do you hear cars? Do you hear a dog barking? So there's a lot of different things you can do. You can also do feeling physical sensations. Like, can you feel where your butt meets your chair, where your back is leaned up against your chair? Can you feel where your own hair is resting on your neck? Can you feel how your necklace feels around your neck? There's different things like that. Can you feel what the ground feels like underneath your feet? So you can start to focus on these other things. But meditation is not about turning your thoughts off. I think I've probably been able to turn off my thoughts for maybe 12 seconds total in my entire life. And that's exaggeration, but seriously, I think all the time, like constantly. My mind is always going. I have a running narrative constantly. The next one is, our daily habits, routines confirm our identity. So this kind of goes back to Dr. Joe Dispenza's work. Your daily habits are actually confirming who you are. So if you look at your habits, if you have something in your life that's not going the way that you want it to go, start to pay attention to these habits you have. Because every day that you fall into the exact same habit, you're just confirming to yourself over and over again, we're the same person that we were yesterday. And if you weren't overly happy with the way yesterday went, what small change can you make? And it's just getting 1% better. What is one thing better I can do for myself today than what I did yesterday? Is it that I do a daily joy? If you don't know what those are, it's where you write a list out of things that you really enjoy doing, very small things, taking a bubble bath, taking your dog for a walk, doing a short meditation, dancing in the kitchen, whole long list of them. And you consciously choose to do a few of them a day. And when you're doing them, you pay attention to how you feel. What are the sensations you have? Why do you enjoy this? And you can really lean into those feelings, and it just brings up natural feelings of gratitude. And it's a big mood booster, right? Even if you only pay attention to it for 30 seconds. If you're on a struggle bus, turn on a timer for 30 seconds and do it for 30 seconds. Truly, it will start to make drastic changes in your life. I get the most messages about people who have truly added daily joys to their lives, and the way that it has remarkably made changes just in the way that they feel and then the external events that they're starting to see. It's amazing. And then the last one is, changing our identity is the key to changing our life. So how you identify is what's going to be reflected back to you. And sometimes this may change without you ever realizing it did. You know, if you saw yourself physically change and you didn't realize that you were consciously even focusing on that, you may not notice it until one day you look in the mirror and you're like, I kind of like how I look now. I like this about myself. I like my hair is looking nicer or whatever it is. But there's something that changes in your, pardon me, identity that changes your life, because you have to change your mind in order to change your life. And you may not recognize those changes, but they definitely happen. So those are my 6 things. What works for one person may not work for me. Not being able to visualize is not an issue. Learning how to become indifferent isn't suppressing your emotions. Meditation isn't about turning your thoughts off. Our daily habits and routines confirm our identity, and changing our identity is the key to changing our lives. So I hope you found that helpful, and I will be back soon.